All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are live in full effect right here, right now, and this one is from one end of the globe to the other. We got the one, the only, an inspiring and very talented Australian hip-hop artist calling in all the way from Australia to Canada. How you doing this evening?
Yeah, what's going on, DJ Immortal? Thanks very much for having me on here, brother. True pleasure, man.
Hey, man, you are most certainly welcome. First and foremost, man, I gotta ask you, dude, what is it like in Australia right now with that COVID situation? I know you probably get asked that a lot, man, so my apologies. I'm just really curious. Has COVID really affected your part of the globe right now?
It did at certain stages, but to be totally honest with you, where we are, man, we're kind of lucky on the west coast of Australia. We locked down all our borders pretty quickly, and yeah, it's been like that now. Our borders are pretty strict and locked down. And we kind of got rid of it fairly quickly, so there's only small amounts of it. So, yeah, man, we got on top of it good, and at the moment, we are actually doing really well.
I gotta say, man, you guys are lucky as hell, man. Unfortunately, I don't know if you heard down here in Canada, man, we got a state of emergency right now. You know what I mean? We actually have a stay-at-home order, so, man, I wish right now I could actually be in Australia, man. It sounds like you have, a normal life right now out there, man, so kudos to that.
Yeah, as good as it can get, sort of thing. There's still other parts of the country that are copping it bad. We did go through the lockdowns and everything as well, but kind of seem to be on top of it pretty good on the west coast, man. And yeah, it's crazy out there. Seeing it gone on in the world and all up there in the States, Canada, America, and oh man, my heart goes out to a lot of those third world countries which are, really copping it as well, man.
And I have to ask you, man, what time is it out there where you are right now? Is it nighttime or daytime? What time is it out there?
We're pretty much 12 hours difference from you. We're just going 9:30 in the morning.
Oh,
so
damn.
I'm just going up. Yeah, man, we've been up. Just did the food shopping with the missus, and yeah, just getting the day kicking off, man.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. To you, it's a morning show. To me, it's my normal evening show, man. So that's actually pretty extraordinary, man. I'm gonna be honest. I just like technology, man. Being able to talk to somebody on the other end of the world, man. So to me, it's still extraordinary how we can make that happen in today's society with technology.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and especially in this music industry, through being able to connect a lot easier with people and get out there, especially when there's these collaborations, these radio interviews, it's done wonders for it.
And man, I want to take you back to the beginning of your career, bro. And I got to ask you, what actually inspired you to get into the music industry?
Man, I fell in love with it in the late 80s. As a young child, my father was a drummer, so I was all around drums and stuff growing up. I learned how to play drums and that from a young age, rhythm, but I seen this thing on hip hop on the radio, our 2-channel TV. We only had 2 channels. We lived out in a very small, couple of hundred people town, kind of like a red bush outback Australian town. And we had 2 TV channels, man. And on one of them, we had the music channel that came on the weekends. And that's when I started seeing your Salt-N-Peppers, your Run DMCs, Public Enemy, Arrested Development, big one. Even Vanilla Ice's, MC Hammers, anything breaking away on the commercial level. And I loved it, man. I was doing the Running Man all through my primary school. It was something that came out and just fell in love with it, man. So for me, that's what it was. It was just being inspired by these other greats from the late 80s and into the early 90s.
And growing up, man, watching these videos on that channel and whatnot, man, was hip hop big out where you were? Or were you just kind of one of those individuals that were like, you know what, I like hip hop and everybody's on a different genre?
That's exactly right. That's exactly what it was, Immortal. It was just, it definitely wasn't big to kick off. Obviously the rock and roll was very big. I didn't see hip hop really take off in Australia probably till. Yeah, when you're getting later in the late 90s even. And I think, to be honest, I really think Eminem had a big deal to do with that. Big time. I think, a lot of people who weren't even listening to hip-hop or rap music at that stage, when Eminem came out and broke, man, it really changed the game. And you got kids everywhere around here now that are just MCs and rapping, and it's absolutely changed, man. There's so much hip-hop going around. which is great for me because, I've always loved it. But, yeah, back in the day, there was only a couple. When I was in high school, it was only me and maybe two other kids at the stage that were doing it and were writing and rapping and performing as a group called the Freaks of the Nature. And, yeah, man, it just took off all of a sudden and got heaps bigger.
And that's true, man, about Eminem, man. Like, he really did change the industry, man. Like man, I knew people that listened to country music that were huge country music fans, but yet they'd be, like, running around rapping along to, like, My Name Is and The Real Slim Shady. So he most definitely sparked a nation, man, and most definitely stole a lot of listeners from different genres.
Yeah, it did. He was a game changer, big game changer. And you can imagine out in these other countries away from the States how much that affected. And a lot of different interviews, when I tell them that, they're kind of impressed and amazed by that. But he did. He made a big difference, man. Big change. And now, also down here in Australia, man, you got, when we used to go to shows, it'd be us and a couple of friends performing to other artists and their friends. And now you've got acts down here which are packing out stadiums. And it's gone amazing, man.
And I'll have to ask you this, man, because, like, I was really wondering this, me being in Canada, you being in Australia. And, of course, as we already know, you're a hip-hop artist. That's why you're here on the station. But being an Australian hip-hop artist, was it really hard to actually get your career popping, just being from, like, a very rural area?
Definitely, man, definitely. And I think, like, we would have been one of the later ones coming through to get recognition or heard. I don't hear a lot of other ones on a worldwide connection doing that. You had your UK coming in strong, and I guess a lot of Germany and places up there in Europe as opposed to the States. But as we all know, is that hip hop worldwide, man. I'm doing features with guys that are in Indonesia, Italy, the Netherlands, and all sorts of places. So it's definitely everywhere, but definitely difficult to kick off the ground from Australia. On a worldwide level, or for people to take you serious on a worldwide level, definitely as well.
And also, man, in the early 2000s, you actually released your debut record titled Revamp that actually featured Grammy Award winner Speech from Arrested Development. I was wondering, how did yourself and Speech get connected? And of course, man, tell us a bit more about your debut record, and is it still available on the internet to be purchased or listened to today?
Man, that's absolutely crazy that you found that. No, it is not on the internet. I have only hard copy CDs sitting with me right now in the studio. I never put that in digital. But the dope thing with Speech is, man, is he was one of my biggest idols growing up as a kid. And their album was one of my first big albums I had. They were the first band I ever seen live in Australia in 1992, like a big band. I wasn't even a teenager at that stage, just a young kid. My big brother took me to the show. So I knew all of his songs. And I ended up moving from the West Coast over to the East Coast for a couple of years. And I worked with a friend on a record label. He started off a record label and a distro label, and I was working with him over there. And we ended up signing one of the Arrested Development albums to it. Can't remember the name of the actual album right now off the top of my head, but because of that, he also flew out to do promo. So I was also A&Ring him. We picked him up from the airport. I was driving him around to all his radio interviews, to his shows, and yeah, we just became friends. And while he was there, I was working on the Revamp album, and he just jumped in, man. I asked him if he'd get on a track, and he wrote a song, and then the next day we went in the studio, and he laid it down for me, man. So that was the first big international collaboration I had, and it was the first kind of moment where I realized, this can happen. We can work with these other artists and bigger artists. So he definitely set that pace for me to go ahead and chase those dreams.
And man, I have to say as well, Speech is such a phenomenal individual, man. Like, I interviewed him, I think it was like 3 or 4 months ago, and he probably was one of my favorite guests I had on, man. Such a humble, down-to-earth individual, man. So most definitely, shout out to Speech.
Yeah, right, he is. Speech and the Mighty Arrested Development, one of the most beautifulest bands. So energetic on stage, so much spirit, so much soul, and just exactly like you said, I use the same. He's just the most humblest man, a good man full of smiles and full of love.
And man, one more still on the topic of your debut record, like, as you said, you're sitting in the studio and you have stacks of them right now. How can our listeners go about getting themselves one of your debut records right now? Like, how would they get a hold of you for that?
Man, I haven't even been selling them, to be honest. That's crazy. I've just locked them away in the vault. So I have been thinking of starting to do something to get it out. So, I mean, you can hit me up on my Optimystic Facebook or any other social media. Hit me up if you want one. Then I'll post them out and stuff. But I've got a bunch of stuff here that I need to start selling out again because, as the digital eras come in, a lot of these hard copies of, only your collectors and that, such as myself, are chasing them. But yeah, man, anyone that wants them, you hit me up. I've got a bunch of albums and secret little projects that no other people would know about that are sitting here on only, I've only got a couple of copies each of these albums left.
And also, man, another amazing album that you actually released was a double album titled Day of the Guiding Light, which actually features an arsenal of international collaborations from Mr. Cheeks to Do It All to Chip Fu. I have to ask you, man, how did you actually get connected with all these individuals? And of course, man, tell us a bit more about that double CD.
Yeah, man. Well, this was the next big step up. I'd come back from Sydney and moved back to Perth. I had set up my own studio and built my own home studio and started doing my own work. I've funded all my own projects off my own back. Everything is independently run. And I guess after that connection with Speech, that was what set it off. So one of my favourite groups, Onyx, which is on the other spectrum of Arrested Development, was someone I reached out to first, man. This was just reaching out to them via their management or even themselves, personal emails, any way I could get in contact with these people. And I just wanted to release a big hip-hop album. I always wanted to do a double album. So I did the Day of the Guiding Light, followed by the Shadow. So I had the light disc as well as the darker disc on it as well. And yeah, man, I mean, they kind of vouch for each other as well, when some artists hear you work with Speech, that already vouches for you. Like when I was working with Do It All and those boys, Chip Fu, so you let them know that you've done a song with Speech, that already vouches for you so much to have already worked with that man. So it kind of became easier as each feature came along as well, knowing that I wasn't messing around, I was serious about my craft and what I was doing with the music. I was ready to invest in myself, and all that's just being passion driven. I've just been fascinated, and I love creating music. I love making something out of nothing, and that's just been the drive for it. Looking back on this album, the double album, in hindsight, it might have been really good to have broken it down and released a mixtape first, because this one took about 4 years, I think. There's 32 tracks on the whole thing on the double album. So in hindsight, probably should have broke it down to a mixtape first because there's such length of time, and then probably dropped a stronger album with it. But still, man, looking back at it, is a piece of work. There's a lot of people involved with it on this end as well as the features. So something to still be very proud of, man. And hang that up in the trophy room.
And I have to ask you as well, man, pertaining to that double record, is it only available on compact disc, or is that actually released to the general public on the internet as well?
Yes, this is the first one where I went digital, so you will find this one around on your Spotify's and iTunes and all that. Definitely out there.
And also, man, aside from your music side of things, I also noticed as well that you actually have the Salty Waters collection clothing line. I was wondering if you can tell our listeners a bit more about that clothing line, like what products do you offer, and of course, where can we actually get some?
Man, yeah, that's the saltywaterscollection.com. That is totally run by my partner, my missus. She does all my logo designs, and she's created this the Salty Water crop skull, which is actually a skull that we have in the studio. Yeah, man, she's done that. She's created the logos for that one, the Salty Waters too, and just some really great designs. So I told her, man, I said, just run with it. You should be starting to do some great clothing. So now when I get clothes, instead of buying these other brand names and stuff, I just kind of she'll design new patterns or new ideas for me, and then I'll go get hoodies, shirts. I mean, I think you can turn them into clocks or whatever you want. You can get different items with these logos and patterns on them. But I love it, man, because it's original, it's something fresh. And yeah, man, it's just cool stuff, It's not your typical bloody name brands that cost so much money. And working with my partner, it's great, it gives her a great thing to do, new projects, new ideas. And yeah, man, we team up, and yeah, I'm loving what she's doing, man. She's really good, very talented woman.
And also, man, on November 11th of 2020, you actually dropped the album Salty Waters 2. I was wondering, man, can you tell us, our listeners, the inspiration behind that phenomenal album? And of course, man, where can we actually snag or sell some copies right now?
Yeah, man, Salty Waters 2, this is the latest album release that we've done. It follows up from the Salty Water 1 album. These two are definitely the pinnacle of what I've been doing all these years, as well as myself and the two producers, Loftweiler Beatsmith and Rob Shaker from Australia, two dope hip-hop producers, man, absolutely fantastic. We have not created hard copies of that yet. We've only got that on digital, but, I mean, working with the likes of Method Man, brought Do It All from the Lords again, Crazy Dre's from Das Effects, The Artifacts are on there, a bunch of my dudes from Australia, JR from Protectors, Birdie Anderson. It's just a dream come true for me, man. It just shows off all the hard work, energy put into it. And, yeah, we haven't stopped, man. But if, we've got Salty Water 1 CDs, I've got Salty Waters #1 on vinyl still. You got Smith & Wesson and MOP and Onyx and Cannabis and Rampage, Wise Intelligent. I think it was the dream for me as a kid. All I ever wanted to do was to spit some of these greats and create these tracks, and I feel like we've definitely accomplished that, with a great team behind it, great group of friends, and now, yeah, sitting on these projects. So Salty Waters 2 is out there now, man. You'll get that on all digital platforms, and hopefully a little later on in this year, we'll release some nice double vinyl and some hard copy CDs for those that want it.
And also, man, when you brought up Method Man as well, directly after this interview, I'm going to be playing your brand new single, courtesy of MJ's Hip Hop Connects, which is titled Smash, featuring Method Man and a few other artists, man. If you can, tell our listeners a story behind this song. That way when they hear it, like, potentially if it's their first time, they can wrap their head around the meaning just a little bit more.
Yeah, well, this was a difficult one. Method Man was definitely not an easy man to get in contact with. So this was done through his team and through his boys. So this was through Hands On Entertainment, made all this go down and happen. And I had to get my other team involved as well. So my producer, Loftweiler the Beatsmith, my man JR from the Protectors, and Birdie Anderson, who sings the hook on it. So we all came together to create this song and join it with Meth. Didn't expect to do a song. It was going to be called Smash, and on that kind of theme with that topic. But it worked so good, man. Ladies love Meth. The beat that Loftweiler did, we kind of do a nice throwback, kind of 2000s club banger. But it turned out fantastic, man. We couldn't be more happier with it. And yeah, man, like I said, to Meth and Red, they're up there in my top 5 of artists by far. Absolutely love them, man. Would have loved to get a track with Redman on the album, but was actually lucky enough to get a little skit from him for it. So hey, man, I'm happy with what I get.
Hey, man, most definitely. Method Man is phenomenal, dude. And I gotta say, you guys, and I'm not just saying this, man, because I have you on my station right now. I would tell people this if you weren't on here, man. But that you guys on that song sound absolutely, excuse my language, fucking perfect together, man. So I really hope Optimystic and Method Man, you know what I mean, team up again and make another joint, because this one is a slapper, bro.
Oh, that's dope. Thank you so much, man. That warms the cockles of my heart, Immortal.
And I gotta say to the people that are listening as well, after this interview, when I play this song, if your speakers tend to melt, we are not liable. Myself or Optimistic are not liable to replace your speakers. So listen with caution. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, bump that shit. That's it. Turn it up. You got to hear it loud. It's the only way to hear music. Nice and loud, big speakers.
Exactly, brother. But I got to ask you, Optimistic, what is next for you, man? Is there anything I missed during this interview? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote while we still have you here live on the other end of the world, right here in Canada?
First thing that I got to say while I remember this is just a shout out to my Canadian family up there that are tuning in and listening, all right? Those McPhersons out there that are listening, love you guys. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Back on the music tip, man, I've done some other little secret side projects. My crew, the Protectors, which features myself and JR, who's on that song with Method Man. and Lochweiler Beatsmith. Earlier in March 2020, we released our album Protectors. The album was called Protectors of the Lost Art. Now, during the world going so crazy at that stage, definitely got slept on. But that, we tried to make this kind of boom bap, classic throwback to the 90s with the sonics and the sound of it, man. And, dude, we got Sadat X, KRX-One, Lords of the Underground, Mike Hands, Bo Black, Supreme the Elohim is on there, Onyx is on there, and I hate always name dropping shit, but that's just what we do. We love to work with these guys. But it is a phenomenal album that is hidden out there. So if you want to look for something really dope, Protectors of the Lost Art for a classic boom bap sound. Another side project I've been doing, my man Mellow D, is Renegades of Raw. I've got an EP out with that. But from here on in right now, man, just trying to promote the Salty Waters 2 stuff throughout 2021, dropping a couple of features for any people that are looking for features and stuff. And we'll do a couple of little side projects like that. Easy work for the studio. And the big thing, man, I'm ready to be a father for the first time in my life. My beautiful partner is soon to give birth to our first child, and I think that's the next big dream for me. So I really want to be putting a lot of energy and focus in that, and really absorb and enjoy that while I can.
And I gotta say, man, from everyone here at Outlaw Radio FM, man, and all of Canada, congratulations, man. Congratulations on your first child, man.
Thanks, Immortal. Appreciate it, brother.
But Optimystic, this is the time in the interview, brother, that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM airwaves. Just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to. I know you already dropped the shout-outs, but just in case you missed a couple. And of course, man, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything Optimystic if they're not already doing so.
Definitely, man. Once again, shout-outs to the Canadian family up there. Love you guys. My boys, the Protectors, Lochweiler Beatsmith, Rob Shaker, my man Crazy Craze from the Freaks of the Nature, and then all the dudes that have supported me along my way, and friends and family, and any supporters, always appreciated, man. If you want to tune in and hear more, then it's Optimystic, Optymystic MC, Optimystic MC, and you'll find me out there, man. All the social platforms, just dig in and have a look, man. Some YouTube videos coming up, something big. Hopefully, got a new music video coming up with Rockness Monster and Mike Hands. That's something in the woodworks that should be coming out soon as well as a dope video, Animalistics with M80 and Crumbzilla. So really looking forward to that as well, man. But yeah, I'm always working, man, always grinding, always working, and appreciate the love and support, Immortal.
Hey, man, you are most certainly welcome, brother. You most definitely enjoy your day. It's about 9 p.m. here, so I got about 3 hours before I go to bed. But, for you, man, enjoy your day, enjoy your morning and afternoon, and most definitely, man, you need anything, don't hesitate to hit me up on the gram. Thank you so much again, brother.
Appreciate it. Rock on, bro.
Most definitely. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.